Today, we are talking about rules and patterns. The first part of this lesson is on input and output tables. So let's take a look at what this is. So an input output table has numbers that are related to each other. So on an input output table, you are going to see two columns. In the first column, this is called the input column. There's something that you do to the number in the input column that is going to help you get the number in the output column. The way that you get from the input number to the output column, this is called the rule. So think of it like a machine. You put the number 1 in, and something happens in this machine, and then the number 2 comes out. We are going to try to figure out what is the rule that is going to help us get from the number 1 to the number 2. So first we need to think about the relationship between these two numbers. I am going to test one rule and see if it works. So the first rule I'm going to check is +2. I am going to check a rule to see if it works. The first rule I'm going to check is adding 1 because 1 plus 1 is 2. In order for the rule to be +1, every number in the input-output table, it would have to be true. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So in this case, that rule works. 2 plus 1 is 3. That does not work. So that is not the rule for this chart. So now I need to see, is there another way that I can get from 1 to 2? Well, I could do 1 times 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. So that means for this chart, let's see if we're right, the rule is times 2. So you can use that rule for each number in the input column and you'll get the correct output column. So for example, if I was to keep this chart going and I wanted to say, okay, there are now 5 kids. If I know that the rule is times 2, then to get the number of soda cans, I do 5 times 2, I would end up with 10. So once you know the rule, the chart can continue to keep going. So let's look at another one to see if we can figure out what the rule is. So if we look at this second one, this one looks like it's going to be a little bit different. I know it's not going to be multiplication because 4 times nothing is 11, but how can I get from 4 to 11? If I add 4 plus 7, I get to 11. So I want to see if this rule works for all of the numbers in the chart. So 4 plus 7 is 11. If I take 8 and I add 7, I end up with 15. If I take 12 and I add 7, I end up with 9. If I take 16 and I add 7, I end up with 23. So that means that my rule for this chart is to add 7. So you could just keep it going. You could make it even longer. So now let's take a look at some charts that are going to have some missing numbers we're going to have to figure out. So in this first chart, we are going to have to figure out what the rule is. It doesn't tell us what the rule is, and we're going to have to figure out two numbers that are missing. So if I'm starting at 1 and I want to get to 4, there's only a couple ways I could do that. I'm going to start out trying addition because I've looked ahead and I know 1 times 4 is 4, but 4 times 4 is not 16. So I'm going to say that my rule might be, I'm going to try +3. So I'm going to see if this works out. So if I do 1 plus 3, I do get 4. If I do 4 plus 3, I do get 7. If I do 8 plus 3, I do get 11. Now, if I want to figure out this missing number, and I know my rule is to add 3, I need to say, okay, 10 plus what? 10 plus 3 gives me what? 10 plus 3 is 13. So my missing number is 13. So the last column is a little bit different. I'm not going to be adding 17 plus 3 because I'm looking for what is on the input side. So whatever number here plus 3 is going to give me 17. So I can either do 17 minus 3 or I can start with a number. Let's say I want to try 15 and see, okay, 15, 16, 17, that's not it. So if I subtract 17 minus 3, I end up with 14. So 14 is my missing number, and my rule is to add 3. Now, just as a little intro into multiple choice questions with these types of problems, let's take a look at this question. It says a photography store sells black and white film. The cost of 2, 5, and 7 rolls of black and white film are shown on the table. How can you find the cost of 9 rolls of film? So we have multiple choice items here that we have to do process of elimination to figure out the rule, to figure out how would we figure out what the total cost of film for 9 rolls is. So if we look at A says that you add 9 to the cost of films. So if I look at the cost of film here is 18. If I add 9 to that, I'm not going to get 2. So A is incorrect. B says you multiply 9 by the number of rolls. So let's see if that works out. 2 times 9 is 18. 5 times 9 is 45. 7 times 9 is 63. 9 times 9 is 81. This one could be the right answer. So far, the rule works for all the numbers, but we want to make sure we eliminate the other ones so we know we're correct. C says to divide the number 9 by the number of rolls. So if I take 2 and I divide by 9, I'm going to get 2/9. I'm going to get a fraction. So that one would not be correct. And then D says subtract 16 from the cost of the film. So in the case of the first one, 18 minus 16 does give me 2. But when I do 45 minus 16, I do not get 5 because 45 minus 40 is 5. So that one is not the correct answer. That means that the correct answer is B. So the kind of challenge problem that I'm giving during the lesson today is this question. How many triangles will have 36 vertices? So you can type this as a comment below. First thing you want to do is figure out what your rule is to get from 1 to 3, to get from 2 to 6, 3 to 9, 4 to 12. And then you're going to have to figure out, okay, how many triangles would it be to give me 36? So type it in the chat if you think you've got it. And thank you for watching.